Well, thank you so much for having me, Rich, and Lori and Sally. We're doing as much as we can, and we're spearheading the effort to help property owners, particularly with property tax relief and some other items from my office. But we can't do it alone. And what's been a little bit different about the flood impact, it's sporadic and throughout the community. And so, really, it's been neighbors helping neighbors. That's the wonderful thing that we've seen here. And so we need the help of every realtor. And thank you to PSAR for really being the tip of the spear and helping get this information out into the community. Especially some of these timelines are coming up pretty fast. So maybe we can jump in a little bit and talk about different ways that you can help your neighbors save on their property taxes if they've been impacted by the winter storms. And then also some new opportunities to help them actually defer on their property taxes. Is that all right?
Yeah, that'd be great. And maybe we can ask you some questions as they come about.
Well, first, always, if you can't reach me or if you need some help immediately, I have our taxpayer advocate, Stephen Lee. He's there to help out. And so you always know our office leads by putting great customer service first. But let's jump into the property tax relief. First, one of the key things was that the governor declared this a state of emergency. And so we have to pay attention to the dates. January 21st to 23rd, that's when the governor declared that the winter storms emergency happened. And so if the damage occurred between those dates, that's when we can provide you the most relief. If you, as a property owner, and really any property owner that suffers over $10,000 or more in damage to their property, we can always help you reduce your property taxes. And we make it a quick and easy process. But in this case, if any homeowner or any business owner to their property has over $10,000 of damage or more, apply, let us know, and we're going to work with you in reducing your property taxes temporarily. And then once you rebuild, we restore your property taxes. One of the questions that I get generally is, do I have to know the exact amount? And so the answer is no. As long as you believe and think that the amount may be over $10,000, or if you're not sure, file with us. When in doubt, fill it out, and we can preserve your rights because you're going to get estimates and you're going to be working with contractors. And trust me, suddenly, like getting your car repaired, the estimates start going up, and you're, oh, where did that number come from? And you might find yourself with $10,000 or more in damage for a retaining wall or a roof or something else that happened throughout the rains that came in, and they were pretty significant.
So Jordan, let me ask you a question. What happens? How does the county track when the actual construction is complete? So say, for example, a homeowner's doing the work on their own and they're taking a couple of years. Like how is the homeowner accounted for?
Great question, Rich. It's actually through the permit process. So when you're going to rebuild your roof or you're going to add in, some folks lost their entire homes, quite frankly, and they're doing new electrical. When they pull their permits, it's when that final permit comes in. It's the next tax year afterwards that we would restore the value to the property. And as long as you rebuild with exactly what you had there before, you have the same exact taxes that were in place, that Prop 13 protected amount. Because a lot of people are concerned, well, if you take it down today, is it going to suddenly go back to that market value, which could be significantly higher? Absolutely not. We protect and maintain that Prop 13 amount as long as you build exactly what you had before.
I have another question. How is the damage verified? What documentation is needed? Do you submit photos of it? You said you don't have to have your estimates all together at once, but
So to get the application started, Lori, it's a one-page application on our website with e-signature. We made it really easy, especially, many of these folks that lost their homes to the flood damage, they're no longer in their homes. They're in hotels, and we don't know, we can't mail them a paper document. We needed to make sure this was easy and accessible at their fingertips. But two, it's actually a very fluid process. We work with you. We take the estimates that you may get. And we always say, give us your highest estimate because that's going to maximize your property tax savings. And so as you're working through and getting those in place, and some people are like, well, what if I do the work myself? Then you're going to put together a cost sheet and we're going to work with that and make sure we help you reach what is a reasonable amount. And my appraisers, we're in the community every day. We know how much it costs to build a wall. We have fence, a room, we have cost sheets. So generally, we might be able to work with you and say, okay, this is what our estimated cost per square foot is. Let's just use that number and work our way out together. Our point isn't to have that exact ruler down to the inch. It's more about helping you rebuild and quickly get these resources, the dollars back in your hand, because that's what you need to get your homes back into living condition. One of the other things I wanted to highlight, though, is some people think property is just your home or your business. But actually, for our office, it includes your boats, planes, and even business equipment. So in many cases in the flooding across the county, we had different businesses where their equipment got wiped out, their refrigerators, their kitchens. And so your business equipment is actually taxed too. So if you know a small business owner that happened to have been wiped out, we saw this with a lot of storage units and other places, your business equipment would also be counted as part of that potential damage and reduction in property taxes that you're paying. So again, if it's a homeowner, business owner, boats, planes, or business equipment, and it's over $10,000, file and let us help work through that with you. The other thing that I'm really proud about, and this came because the community had reached out, when the floods hit, Shane Harris with the People's Association of Justice Advocates reached out and said the community needs to wants to see here. We want to meet with you, and I absolutely showed up right away with my team, and we walked the houses, particularly in Mountain View and 42nd Street, and we saw the terrible damage, and we realized they didn't need just the reduction in property taxes on their next tax bill, but some of them needed the deferment of their property taxes. And that's what Shane Harris called for. And our office, which isn't traditionally the one that collects the taxes, that's the tax collector office, we found a way through the calamity process and state law that we could actually help defer property taxes. And so the Board of Supervisors, thanks to their leadership, we brought that effort forward. You can see we're all smiling in that picture because we passed it unanimously at the Board of Supervisors, additional deferment of property taxes. So step one is filing your application to reduce your property taxes with over $10,000 of damage. Step two, now this is for homeowners. If you pay your property taxes directly, that means you don't use an impound account. We can defer your property taxes on that next regular tax bill. You just have to request it. That's that April 10th tax bill, and you have to file that by April 10th at 5 p.m. using the online application on sdarcc.gov. It's right on the front page. We make it super easy. Second, if you're a commercial property owner, the threshold to get your property taxes deferred are a little higher. It has to be a loss of 20% or greater of your commercial property. So let's say the day before the floods, your property is worth $1 million, and the day after, due to damage, if you sold it, it's worth $800,000. That's a 20% reduction. We can then defer your property taxes. And Rich, I know what you're thinking. Well, then when do I have to pay it? Because that was your last question. Well, it's 30 days after you complete your rebuilding process. So once we get your final permit, and it could be 1 year, it could be 5 years, and in some cases, depending on your jurisdiction, it could take a little bit longer. 30 days after that final permit, the tax bill will come out and you'll have the ability to pay the bill at that point. But
Are there penalties on it or any kind of interest or anything
no
like that?
penalties, no interest. But I'll tell you why that was so important, particularly during this disaster that we saw. You know, when we see fires happen, most people have insurance to cover that, especially in the fire zones. This flooding that we saw, people had insurance. Their insurance just didn't cover flooding. And it's not something that most people expected to have. And so we see a lot of people that have their homes, but they don't have the cash on hand to begin the rebuilding process, and they don't have the insurance coverage. So by deferring their property taxes, they now have the cash on hand to begin the process of rebuilding their home so they can get into a clean, healthy, safe environment faster. The mold and these other toxins that came with the flooding were pretty terrible and costly to remediate. So that's why this process was so important. And again, it's on the same one-page application that you file. So you have to file to reduce. And then as long as you don't have a impound account with a mortgage company, you can file to defer. And we can defer that until you rebuild. And it's a really simple and easy process.
Jordan,
Right.
can you clarify again, if you do have an impound account, you can still reduce, but you cannot defer. Is that correct?
That's right. And the reason that the state law was set up that way was because you've slowly been setting aside your property taxes. Instead of having to decide, you've already put that money somewhere else and it's not accessible to you at that point. And I think that's why the state legislators wrote it that way. One of the other things that I want to just highlight is if you don't know what to do, you can always call my office. It's really easy. You can always email us, and I'm going to give you that information at the end. But I have property tax experts and a team that's here to help you. So when in doubt, fill it out. That's our answer to everything. One of the other things that I want to highlight is that not only is my office the assessor office, but we're also the recorder county clerk. And the recorder clerk side of the office offers relief as well. So I'm sure that you remember when, we've seen disasters strike San Diego, fires and floods before. FEMA and these other local, state, and federal agencies require that you have your birth, death, marriage certificates, property deeds, and other documents showing that you own the property, and the insurance companies as well. But if you lost those or they were damaged during these disasters, it's an impediment to getting the relief. So my office as the recorder has your vital records, your birth, death, marriage certificates, in addition, those deeds. And so you can come in to any of my 4 offices across the county. We have free parking. And I know you've been to my office, so you know it's really fast and efficient. 15 minutes, we're going to get you in and out. And we're going to get you those records for free so you can begin the rebuilding process.
That's great. What do you have to prove when you are requesting these items?
That's a great question, Lori. It's a one-page affidavit. Basically, you're just saying, hey, I was a victim of the 2024 winter storm. I had damaged or lost documents, and then we give them to you. That's it. Really simple, really easy. And I'll tell you, my office, I told you we believe in great customer service. We went to a local assistance center in Spring Valley after the floods. It's where we were open for 3 or 4 days right after the floods in the communities hardest hit. We took all the applications where people were not born in San Diego, married in San Diego, or their loved one had passed in another county, because we only have the records for San Diego County. And we actually mailed over 70 applications to other counties for our San Diegans, so that way the other counties can get that information for them. We made the process easy. So if you're not sure whether or not you were born or married or had passed, and this could be your parents or other folks in San Diego County, come on in and we're going to help you figure that out too. Just so you know, I know PSAR is in Chula Vista headquarters. We have our convenient office in Chula Vista, but you might be downtown, Santee or San Marcos. Those are our 4 offices. And again, it doesn't get better than free parking and fast service, right?
I've heard of, during this time, there's a lot of fraud going on, when things like this happen, calamities hit. Is the county doing anything to protect people from fraud?
Well, I appreciate you asking that, Rich. Our office actually offers a free service called Owner Alert. Now, for realtors out there, if you're not already giving this service to your client, it's free and easy. It's an electronic recording notification system on title. So if anybody tries to take the title to your property, we email you right away. The longer somebody has to work with your title and take a loan out or resell a property, the more damage and clouding of title can be done, and the more costly and expensive it can be to help undo what's been done to your property. So by signing up for our Owner Alert program, not only are we going to protect your title while people are looking at your vacant property because you're rebuilding it, but 2, while you're working with contractors, if they put a lien on your property or they do anything to your property, we're going to notify you about it right away. And it's a really easy process. 5 minutes or less. You just need to have your parcel number, an email address, and your name, and your business name, and you can sign up to 10 addresses and we're going to help protect you. And we're the first in the state of California to offer this service. So whether or not you were impacted by the 2024 storms or not, I hope you sign up for this property's protection service now. Scan the QR code or go to sdarcc.gov and just look for the green check mark. Just the same way that realtors are honored to serve the community, so is my office, especially helping them rebuild during this really sensitive time. It's a point of pride that we get to be there to serve folks when they need us, but we want to make sure it's easy and accessible. Call us 619-236-3771 is my expert property tax team. You're going to get a person on the phone, none of this waiting in hours stuff. Or if you're an email person, arcchelp@sdcounty.ca.gov. And we're going to be there for you and your clients and really help the community rebuild together. So
We appreciate you making things so simple. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, Lori. And Lori, yeah, one of the things I think we were looking at the application together earlier, you mentioned this looks like I could use it for anything. And the answer is yes. If you have a home fire, if you have something happen to your property, please reach out to my office. There is property tax relief available, and we want to make sure that nobody overpays on their property taxes. We're here as a partner in the community.